Shortly after midnight on April 16, 2026, flashing red and blue lights pierced the quiet of a suburban neighborhood in Annandale, Virginia. Inside a dark home, police discovered the bodies of a husband and wife in a murder-suicide. To understand how a public figure falls from the edge of the governorship to an act of domestic violence, we have to look at the evidence. Subscribe to the channel as we examine the trajectory of a career that ended in violence. In early February 2019, Justin Fairfax was a rising star in the Democratic Party. He held degrees from Duke and Columbia Law, had served as a federal prosecutor, and maintained an unblemished public record. He was only the second Black person elected to statewide office in Virginia's history. On the day he was sworn in as lieutenant governor, his father presented him with a copy of an 18th century manumission document, the paper that had legally freed his great-great-great-grandfather from slavery in Virginia. At 39 years old, he had achieved a level of political success that few in the state ever reach. There was no public indication that within 7 years, this life would end in the same county he once helped lead. The turn began with a scandal involving his boss, Governor Ralph Northam. A conservative news outlet published a photo from Northam's 1984 medical school yearbook depicting two people, one in blackface and another in a Ku Klux Klan hood. Within 48 hours, state lawmakers and national political figures were demanding Northam's immediate resignation. As lieutenant governor, Fairfax was the legal next in line. He began making private preparations to take the oath of office, notifying his family that he was likely days away from becoming the governor of Virginia. By placing him on the verge of the governorship, the crisis invited an immediate national level of scrutiny. Just as he prepared to inherit the state's highest office, his own past became the subject of intense investigation. The narrative shifted on February 3rd. A news report surfaced detailing an allegation of sexual assault made by Vanessa Tyson, a college professor. Within days, a second woman, Meredith Watson, came forward. The allegations dated back to 2000 and 2004, involving incidents during Fairfax's time as an undergraduate at Duke and while he was working as an aide on a presidential campaign. The political fallout was immediate. Within the same week that Fairfax had been preparing for a promotion, he was instead facing public calls for his own resignation from the same Democratic colleagues who had just turned on Northam. Fairfax denied the claims, stating the encounters were consensual. He refused to resign and publicly suggested he was the target of a coordinated political smear campaign intended to block his path to the governorship. No formal criminal charges were filed, but the speed of the reporting and the volume of the accusations effectively neutralized his political influence. In the span of a few days, his reputation was dismantled in the public eye. Fairfax remained in office until his term ended in 2022, but he was a pariah within his own party. He was placed on leave from his law firm and stripped of his leadership roles in national political organizations. In 2021, he attempted to salvage his career by entering the Democratic primary for governor, running on a platform that he had been denied due process. This chart shows the primary results. Former Governor Terry McAuliffe won with over 62% of the vote. Fairfax finished in fourth place, receiving just 3.5%. That 3.5% share represented roughly 17,000 votes across the entire state. The data confirmed that his path back to elected office was closed. After the primary, he left politics and returned to private law practice. For a man who had been days away from the governorship, the loss was total. He moved into a private life that was increasingly defined by domestic conflict. By early 2026, 5 years after his failed primary run, his marriage to Cerina Fairfax was collapsing. Though the couple was in the process of a divorce, they were still living together in their Annandale home. In January 2026, Fairfax filed a police report accusing Cerina of physically assaulting him. It was a serious allegation that, if proven, would have significant legal consequences for her. The claim was debunked by technology Cerina had installed. She had placed interior security cameras in the house. When police reviewed the footage, it showed that no assault had occurred. The investigation proved Fairfax's report was false. This incident revealed a willingness to manipulate the legal system and the facts of his private life, mirroring the defensiveness that characterized his public downfall years earlier. The situation reached a breaking point in mid-April 2026. Police believe the final spark occurred when Fairfax was formally served with court paperwork regarding the divorce. On April 16th, Fairfax shot and killed Cerina before turning the gun on himself. Their 2 teenage children were inside the house at the time and were the ones who called 911. For years, his supporters had maintained that he was the victim of a media witch hunt based on unproven allegations. His final actions permanently ended that debate. The legacy of Justin Fairfax is a haunting sequence of events. A man whose historical political rise was derailed by allegations of violence ultimately ended his life by committing a fatal act of violence against his own wife.